These 7 life struggles reveal you're a real dark chosen one. Most people don't know the signs. They think being chosen means being special, gifted, admired. But the truth is darker, deeper, and much more sacred. Real dark chosen ones don't walk into this world with halos and applause. They are born into chaos, into pain, into a life that tests them from the first breath. And it's not because they're cursed, it's because they are called. But the calling doesn't arrive as a whisper. It arrives through suffering, and through struggle, through a series of challenges so intense, so specific, that they break you open before you even know what's happening. And if you're experiencing these 7 struggles, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something ancient is waking up in you. The first struggle is isolation, not the kind that's romanticized, where you sit in peace on mountaintops. I'm talking about the soul-crushing kind. The kind where you feel like no one understands you, like you're speaking a language no one else can hear. You look around and wonder why you were born into the family you were. Why the people closest to you never really see you. Why even in a crowd, you feel like a ghost. This isn't random. It's initiation. Dark chosen ones are pulled away from the noise early, not to punish them, but to train them. Silence becomes your first teacher. Solitude reveals your true voice. And in that lonely wilderness, you begin to sense the deeper truth. You were never meant to belong, you were meant to awaken.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Then comes the second struggle, inner chaos. Your emotions aren't normal. They're tidal waves. You feel everything too deeply, too painfully, too often. Other people seem to float through life. But you drown and resurrect in the same day. And still, somehow you keep going. You carry storms in your chest, riddles in your mind, and an ache in your soul that no therapist, no book, no pill can explain. You've probably asked yourself, what's wrong with me? But what if nothing is wrong? What if that intensity is a compass? What if your emotional chaos is a sacred code designed to crack open your dormant power? The third struggle is betrayal. Over and over again, friends turning into strangers, lovers walking away without explanation, mentors you trusted revealing hidden agendas. It feels personal, but it's not. It's spiritual. The dark chosen one must learn early that not everyone is meant to walk with them, and that loyalty to your soul sometimes means walking alone. That heartbreak is a form of refinement, a fire that burns away the inauthentic so only the real remains. But every betrayal shoves you deeper into your own truth, into your own strength. And that strength, it's not soft, it's forged. And it's waiting for you to stop expecting others to carry what only you were designed to hold. The fourth struggle is feeling misunderstood, not just by people but by life itself. You've probably asked, why does everything feel backwards? Why do I see things others don't? Why do I feel like I was born in the wrong timeline, in the wrong system, with the wrong rules? That's because you were. The dark chosen one doesn't come to follow the script. You come to rewrite it. But before you can do that, you have to watch the script fall apart. You have to challenge it, question it, break it in your own life. And that's messy. It's isolating. But it's necessary, because your very existence is a disruption to the old world. The fifth struggle is spiritual confusion. You've probably tried meditation, prayer, rituals, sacred texts, and still felt like you were chasing shadows. Some days you feel divinely connected. Other days you feel like you've been abandoned by every higher power you ever believed in. That's not failure. That's the real path. The dark chosen one isn't handed enlightenment. You're dragged toward it, step by step, through fire and void. The confusion is part of the decoding. You're not meant to follow a path. You're meant to become one. The answers won't arrive in books. They'll rise from your own ashes. The sixth struggle is the weight of responsibility. Even when you're falling apart, people come to you for wisdom, for energy, for healing. They see something in you, something magnetic, something ancient, and they want to drink from it. But they don't always see the cost. They don't know the price you've paid to carry that frequency. And you don't know whether to feel grateful or resentful, because you're still figuring it out, still learning how to hold your own power without collapsing under it. But here's the truth, that weight is not there to crush you. It's there to crown you. You were never meant to carry others' pain forever, but you were meant to transmute it. And finally, the seventh struggle, the fear of your own power. This is the deepest one. The fear that maybe you really are different. That maybe you do have something ancient, something unexplainable, something dangerous inside you. And what if you lose control? What if it consumes you? Or worse, what if you never access it and waste your life playing small? This is the final veil. This is where most people turn back. But not you. Because if you've made it this far, if these 7 struggles feel like your autobiography, then you're not just awakening, you're remembering. And the question is no longer, why is this happening to me? The question is, what am I being prepared for? The hidden blueprint, why the dark chosen are built through pain most can't survive. There's something no one tells you at the beginning of your awakening. They don't tell you that the pain is not just a byproduct of life, it's a blueprint. A divine design coded into your soul before you ever took your first breath. The dark chosen ones don't stumble into their power. They are carved into it, shaped through experiences that would break most people, and not just once, but repeatedly. You've felt it, haven't you? That sense that your life hasn't just been difficult, it's been engineered. That every heartbreak, every rejection, every failure was almost too precise to be coincidence. It felt like a setup, because it was. You weren't built for comfort. You were built for capacity. And the only way to expand a vessel to hold the kind of power you carry is to break it open, again and again. That's why your story has been filled with such sharp edges. That's why you've been placed in rooms where no one understood you, in families that didn't speak your soul's language, in systems that felt designed to silence your voice. Every piece of your pain was a chiseling tool, a sacred hammer to forge the unshakable core within you that no one else could replicate. But let's go deeper, because this isn't just about surviving trauma. This is about transcending it. The dark chosen are not defined by what happened to them. They are defined by what they become in the aftermath. You see, most people spend their lives avoiding pain, numbing it, denying it, running from it. But you had no choice. It chased you, cornered you, sat with you in the middle of the night when no one else could. And eventually, something inside you stopped running. You turned around, you looked it in the eye, and that's when something shifted. You stopped being a victim of your story and became the author of it. That's the moment the blueprint activates. And let's be honest, it's not glamorous. It's not clean. There are no medals for surviving the kind of battles you've been through. But there is something else. Something more sacred than recognition, evolution. Every time you were brought to your knees, something deeper woke up inside you. A knowing, a flame, a voice that whispered, "This isn't the end, this is your becoming." And it wasn't just poetic, it was real. Because each time you rose differently, not softer, but sharper, not colder, but clearer. You didn't just bounce back, you rebuilt with new codes, new vision, new purpose. But here's what most people don't understand. The true power of the dark chosen one doesn't come from light. It comes from integration, from the fearless willingness to hold both the shadow and the flame in one body. You don't reject your darkness, you study it. You sit with it, you learn from it. You don't pretend to be perfect, you become whole. And in a world obsessed with pretending, your authenticity becomes a portal for others to access their own truth. This is what makes you dangerous, not in a destructive way, but in a disruptive way. You can see through illusions. You can feel when someone's energy is off, even if their words are pretty. You can smell manipulation, sense unspoken pain, hear the scream behind someone's smile. You are not easy to fool, and that makes people uncomfortable. Because you don't play the role they expect. You don't fit the mold. You don't perform purity. You embody truth. But that level of truth requires sacrifice. And that's part of the hidden blueprint too. You've probably noticed that the more you become who you truly are, the more you lose friends, opportunities, even parts of yourself you once loved. At first, it feels like punishment. But eventually you realize it's consecration. You're not just shedding, you're being refined. The universe is stripping away everything that cannot hold your frequency, everything that would dilute your mission, everything that would distract you from your destiny. So now I ask you something deeper. What if your pain was never meant to destroy you, but to unlock the codes no one else could carry? What if you were never broken, only compressed, waiting for the moment you'd explode into your full form? The blueprint is not linear, it's not logical, but it is flawless. It knows exactly how much you can bear and exactly when to bring you to the edge, not to push you off, but to teach you that you can fly. And when you finally do, when you stop doubting the design, you stop fearing your path, you trust it, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because pain is not your enemy, it's your map. And you were built to navigate through realms most people will never touch. The sacred fire within, why the dark chosen ones can't be controlled, and why that terrifies the world. There is something undeniably powerful about a person who has stopped lying to themselves, who has walked through the inferno of their own illusions and come out burned, but awake. That kind of soul cannot be manipulated, cannot be bought, cannot be silenced. And when someone like that steps fully into their truth, the world doesn't celebrate, it trembles. Because the dark chosen one doesn't fit into the neat little categories society depends on to maintain order. You're not predictable, you're not programmable. You're not afraid of being cast out because you've already lived in the wilderness. And from there you discovered something sacred no system could ever give you, your own fire. This fire isn't loud like ego, It doesn't scream to be seen. It doesn't need applause or attention. It burns quietly deep in your bones, beneath your skin, behind your gaze. People feel it before they understand it. They can sense that you see things they don't see, that you carry a frequency they can't name. And for some, that's magnetic. For others, it's terrifying. Because in a world built on control, on image, on conformity, on curated narratives, the one who burns with unfiltered truth is a threat to the entire illusion. That's why you've always felt the resistance. It's not paranoia, it's prophecy. The world doesn't want you to wake up. Because when you wake up, you start asking questions no one wants to answer. You start breaking rules not out of rebellion, but out of alignment. You walk away from what doesn't resonate. You speak what others are too afraid to say. You become ungovernable not because you're violent, but because you're sovereign. And sovereignty is the most dangerous thing a human being can embody in a world designed to keep us dependent. But here's the twist. No one gave you this fire. It wasn't passed down in a lineage or taught in school or found in a book. It was born in you. And more importantly, it was activated through your pain. Every time you were silenced, the fire grew. Every time you were betrayed, the fire grew. Every time you were told to dim yourself to make others comfortable, the fire grew. Until one day you couldn't contain it anymore. You stopped trying, and you let yourself burn not to destroy, but to illuminate. This is the sacred fire within. It is not chaotic. It is not reckless. It is holy. It's the part of you that remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. It's the part that refuses to settle for half-truths, for shallow living, for false peace. It's the part that would rather walk alone in the dark than be surrounded by people who can't see your light. And it's the part that keeps calling you, especially in moments of despair, especially when you're on the edge of giving up. That fire will not let you quit, because it knows you were not sent here to play it safe. You were sent here to shift reality, and shifting reality doesn't come from following the crowd, but it comes from holding your ground when everything in you wants to run. It comes from choosing integrity over comfort, and from protecting your energy like it's sacred currency, from saying no when your soul screams it, even if your mind is afraid. That's why the dark chosen one can't be controlled, because you've already faced your worst nightmare, being misunderstood, abandoned, broken. And you survived. You made peace with your own shadow. And now, no one can use it against you. That's real power. But let me ask you something. What would your life look like if you stopped negotiating with your fire? If you stopped trying to tame it, soften it, make it palatable for people who were never meant to understand it? What if that fire was never meant to be hidden but to lead? You were never meant to be manageable. You were never meant to be digestible, explainable, or safe. You were meant to be true. And the truth isn't always comfortable, but it's always necessary. When you live in that truth, you become a mirror, and people will either rise to meet you or run from themselves. Either way, you don't chase. You hold. You anchor. You allow your presence to do the work your words never could. Because at the end of the day, the sacred fire doesn't need permission. It just needs space. And once you give it that, once you stop apologizing for your intensity, your vision, your knowing, you step into a kind of freedom that cannot be replicated. You stop surviving. You start commanding. And the world. It has no choice but to adjust. The rise of the living temple, What happens when a dark chosen one fully embraces their divine role? There comes a moment quiet, irreversible, when the dark chosen one stops searching for a place to belong and realizes they are the place, the vessel, the living temple, the sacred ground where shadow and light meet, where truth no longer needs to be spoken because it is embodied. This is not a moment marked by celebration. There's no applause, no ceremony. Often no one around you even notices. But inside, something fundamental shifts. You no longer seek, you become. You stop walking toward your purpose and start walking as your purpose. This is the final transformation. The moment when the fire no longer burns you, it moves through you. Everything you've endured, every betrayal, every breakdown, every silent night, when you thought you were losing your mind, it all led to this. The realization that you are the altar and the flame. That your body, your story, your presence was always the sacred technology designed to awaken others, not through performance, but through frequency. You don't need to convince anyone. You just are, and that is enough. When a dark chosen one fully embraces their divine role, they stop reacting to the chaos around them. They become a still point in a spinning world. Not because they've transcended life, but because they've descended fully into it. They've met their shadow, wept with it, learned its language, turned it from monster to master. And in doing so, they no longer fear themselves. And that's what makes them unshakable. Because what can the world take from you when you've already surrendered everything? What can fear threaten when you've already died 1,000 quiet deaths and risen wiser each time? You don't become arrogant, you become anchored. You no longer chase validation because your soul is your compass. You don't need to debate, prove, or persuade. Your mere presence disrupts illusion. Your energy speaks before you do, and people feel it. Some are drawn in, others recoil. But the truth is undeniable. You've become a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. When you walk into a room, you don't say, "Look at me." Your essence whispers, "Look at yourself." And now you carry a sacred responsibility. Not to lead like a ruler, but to serve like a portal, to hold the line when others forget, to speak the truth when others are silent, and to walk into systems that are collapsing and not be swallowed by their noise. You become the walking reminder that divinity doesn't only live in temples or mountains, it lives in you, in every step, every breath, every choice. But this path does not end in comfort. It ends in clarity. The dark chosen one doesn't arrive at a finish line. They arrive at a frequency, a way of being that is so aligned, so authentic, that life begins to organize itself around them. Synchronicities increase. The right people appear. The wrong ones fall away without conflict. Doors open without effort. Not because things are magically perfect, but because you're no longer fighting your own nature. You're finally in rhythm with your soul. And so I ask you, one final time, what would happen if you stopped resisting the truth of who you are? What miracles would unfold if you stopped apologizing for your sacred intensity and started living as if your very existence was a prayer? You are not here to fit in. You are here to realign the world by realigning with yourself. The temple is no longer out there. It's you. And now that you know, you cannot unknow. Now that you've remembered, you cannot go back to sleep. You are the storm and the stillness, the question and the answer, the shadow and the flame. The dark chosen one has risen, and the world will never be the same.